you can probably hear me. Jolly good. I didn't hear what you said then. The reason I didn't hear what you said then are two reasons. One is you haven't got the microphone quite close enough to your lips. It's very, very noisy out there at the moment, and we're only doing 1200 RPM. Later on, when we're doing much more than that, the oil has got thinner, so therefore the engine's ticking over faster. So if this microphone was switched on all the time, we'd just hear the engine all the time, okay? And it would sound like that. We can hear hisses in our ears, because it's picking up the engine all the time, so it's still hearing me. So what we have is we have an adjustment here, and I'm going to say Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb. No, I'll do it when it's noisier. I'm going to just turn it and you'll hear one of the hisses go. There. That's the adjustability on the sensitivity of this microphone, okay? And yours is round to the maximum there. I'm telling you this because it will be quite handy if you could control your own later on.
Right.
So when the engine's not making much noise, we can hear a hiss. And we only have to turn it there to stop the hiss. Later on, when she makes more noise, we have to come right round to there. During takeoff, it'll be right round to there, otherwise we'll still hear that hiss. And that's your job to control that one, okay?
Right.
This one is how noisy you are in your own ears. Okay, so if I turn that, you might be getting, I can't remember if that's what you hear from me or what you hear of yourself. The trick is with this, if you say, Steve, I'm not feeling very well. Actually, we're not making enough noise, but if you whisper to me when we're making all this racket, Steve, I'm not feeling very well. If you can't hear your own voice in your own ears, I can't hear you saying I'm not feeling very well.
Right.
And incidentally, there are sick bags in there. Okay. So it's called squelch, and you can filter out the ambient noise. You can make this microphone more or less sensitive. That's that. We're tuned into Compton. We don't need to be tuned into anybody else. And this radio is going, I'm on COM 1. So that's me just making sure the radio is making a noise and nobody's talking at the moment. We're not, there's no such thing.
Traffic, Golf Alpha Whiskey's ready for departure.
There's no such thing as air traffic control here. It's just a radio station. They can't tell me what to do. Don't ask them permission to do anything. I'm in charge of this. I basically just tell them and they can give me some information. And we won't talk to anybody else. This here is a transponder, so that in a minute when I set it up properly, both Southampton and Bournemouth can see that there's a little aeroplane flying around showing 7,000. And that just means he's a little aeroplane and he's not a jetliner and he's not talking to anybody or anything like that. Pre-taxi we've got up to, so now we'll do this. Avionics master switch is on because we're hearing ourselves. The mixture is leaned, so we're not making a nice, we're keeping soot off our carburetors. Fuel, I've set it to be right. Flap, I'm going to check the flaps work now. I've got a gauge here, a lever there, and I look out the window. And these flaps can only be, notice they've just moved down to 10%. That's the takeoff position. That is the land position. Basically, full power, she will only just climb with the flap set to that. It's all about stopping, that one. Whereas that setting is all about flying at a lower speed, and that setting is the normal speed, and that's all worked. Instruments. This is a compass, and this is a gyroscope. So this could be showing bloody anything since it was when it wound down. And if we now wind it to, say, 08, which is basically east towards 6, there, then because it's a gyroscope, it'll stay pointing to that, even when this is moving all over the place. But over about every 5 or 10 minutes, I should make sure that when we're straight and level, that these agree with each other. This can tell me where north really is, but he gets buggered about with very easily, whereas this is a gyroscope, so it stays where it's pointing. And that was that. I'm going to say hello to her in a minute. That's on standby. We are getting closer to, yeah, we can taxi now. That's closed. Time off chocks will be noted, and I'll put the taxi light on. So, I'm going to call her up. This airfield is about 800 and something feet above sea level. So she's going to give, and because I want to know how high I am above sea level, because all of the mountains and television masts and all of that, they're above sea level. I want to know that. So she's going to give me that. When we come back and land, she'll give me a much smaller number so that I know how high above the airfield I am. But but I know it's going to be around there, so I'm expecting the number, and she's also going to tell me which runway to use, and I'm going to check both boxes. So it is Compton Radio, Golf, Golf, Romeo, 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 by the new hangar, taxi for a local flight with 2 POB.
Golf, Romeo, Romeo, good afternoon. Your readability 5, runway 26 right, and the QNH is 1014.
1014, 26 right, Golf, Romeo, Romeo. And Compton Radio, radio check on box 2, please.
Readability 5.
Roger, Romeo, Romeo. Compton, there's traffic. Golf,
Right, we're ready to start moving it.
North QSY en route. Thanks very much, bye-bye.
Roger, have a safe flight back. Thanks for the visit, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
And I've been all around that checklist, and we're all good. So during the taxi, we're going to do a bit of checking. Put your feet, basically throughout the flight, throughout the taxiing, rest your feet on the pedals. Just resist the urge to press them unless I let you, okay? But you might as well do some of this steering. So we've got no direct drive to the wheels, so the only way we're going to go forwards, oh that's right, we can get them a little bit tighter now. So if I take the brake off, nothing's going to happen. Well, it did a bit because that wheel's on something, oh, it's all moving actually. And I'm treading on these pedals, and I'm going to need a bit more oomph to get it to go up. And then I'll let you do this, but I'll do the throttle. I want you to tread fairly hard on the right pedal. You don't have to touch this, but turn fairly hard on the right pedal to steer us around there. Quick, quick, quick before we hit anything. That's it, but not the brakes bit, just the steering bit. And as we turn, the compass changes, the direction indicator changes, and that changes. Now go left and wiggle it back the other way. And the compass changes, and the DRO changes, and that changes as well, and that's all good. And now I'm going to check my brakes. I won't be inviting you to check your brakes. I'm going to close the throttle, and I'm happy that I've got working brakes. Right, now, in fact, what we'll do is we tick it over at 12. I'm going to let you have a go at taxiing it. You know a bit how to steer it. The best way, once it's got moving, because you're going to need to open the throttle, get it moving, and then close it back to about 12. But you control the power with that. But the best way to get a feel for it is give yourself, while it's not really moving very fast, loads of movement on the pedals so you can really feel how it happens. And basically we need to taxi right down to the end, and so you've got quite a long time to get used to it. So that's your throttle, it's your aeroplane at the moment, so as we say, your aeroplane. Open the throttle gently and it'll start moving, and I'll worry about this. And then close the throttle a bit because you'll get going too fast otherwise, and then start steering left and right, and tread on it and tread on it and tread on it the other way, but not too much out to the runway because the runway's there. Okay, so that was me then, but now do a bit more steering left and right with your feet, and over that way a bit more. Here is a runway. I don't want you on the runway yet.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, over there please. Lovely. That's it. And this is a fairly good speed for taxiing. When I've done this, you see this, I've done this for leaning it over towards those aeroplanes without hitting them. We're taxiing slightly fast, so you close the throttle a little bit. And still over there, because actually where we're aiming for is we're going to go right over into that corner of the airfield, as far away from the airfield as the runway as possible, to do some further checks. And the grass is a bit longer, so you're going to need a little bit more on the throttle. And the important thing to remember is you've got 8 litres of power there. Admittedly, it's only connected via the air and not via the tarmac, so you're never going to get the wheels smoking. But 8 litres of power is quite a lot, even if it's old-fashioned. And can you hear the hiss?
Yeah.
That was me. My side. And the wings get much, much longer when you're taxiing, and what you should have at the moment is a healthy fear of bashing that fence. We are nowhere near the fence, but nevertheless, wings get longer when you're taxiing, but we are getting a bit closer to the fence for my liking, so can you go around the corner a bit, please? Good stuff. And what I'm doing with the stick is I'm holding the stick back because that's making the nose wheel lighter. The strength of the wheels is all in the mains. The nose wheel is for steering and not really for supporting weight, so we try and protect our nose wheel as much as possible. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the end of the runway, and we've done our during taxi tests, which are brakes, instruments, rudder left and right. So I'm happy with my taxi test. So we've got 2 sets of checks that we're going to have to do when we get there. And what are they called? They're called pre-takeoff and then the run up, sorry, and then pre-takeoff. It's getting a bit fast now, so slow down. Without brakes, just close the throttle a little bit. And now, much less throttle, and then put a little bit back in, and steer over towards the hedge a bit. I've slowed you down too much, sorry, I was just trying to point out that sometimes you can move it, sometimes you have to move it a bit further, so now we're going to get moving again. What we're going to do is we're going to steer over to the hedge a bit when she starts moving again. Go on, more oomph. She'll take off. She's settled in a hole, that's all. And when she's out of it, then you can close it a bit more. And then we're going to turn hard left. Not yet. When we get a bit closer to we don't want to be anywhere near that runway. Don't want people landing on me. Now turn hard left. And as you swing round, you can see the wind sock there and there, and I want us pointing into wind. So a bit more turn, and then stop. I'm going to stop it, and now close, but not completely, the throttle. Because I want to stop moving. And I take it now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brakes on. Tick over is 12, that's good. I was trying to explain, that's right. This is making the plugs less sooty. It's also how we stop the engine. If I was to try and open the throttle hard now to take off, it wouldn't. It'll almost stop because it's basically, there's nowhere near enough fuel getting into it. So we have to go there for the next thing we've got to do, which is run up. Parking brake is on and I cover it and I set now to both. So we've checked the left tank, we've checked the right tank, and now we're checking it's flowing through both. I look and check my temperatures and they're good. I set to fully rich. I set this throttle round to 18. Now, at the moment, when we're on the ground, this controls the speed of the engine. Later on, this one controls that one, and this one controls the speed of the engine. But we're on the ground. So I wind it up to 18, and I'm doing it like this so that if the airplane starts creeping on the brakes, I will notice. So I'm at 18, and then I pull this lever back and pull it down to 13. And when I do it, several things happen. The oil pressure will change. The oil temperature did change a smidge, and the manifold pressure changed. And I've done it once. What I'm actually doing is I'm making the prop bite more without changing the power setting, and so because it's biting more, the engine has to go slower. And when it does do it, it needs engine oil to actually make it work, which is why the engine oil is dropping in pressure. And what it did do, because it was cold oil in the prop, did very briefly change, just very briefly. So now we know we've got nice warm oil and we've done it 3 times. Next thing we do is we go right up to 21 in revs, and I switch one set of plugs off and it drops a tiny amount. And then I set the other set of plugs off and it drops a tiny amount, and there's no difference between them. Then I pull this engine heat knob in and it drops a tiny amount as expected. Then I make sure that volts are good and current is nil or nothing. And then I make sure it's sucking okay. And then I make sure that if I close the throttle to the stop, it doesn't actually stop, because we don't want that. And then we put it back up to 12. And this on my old checklist used to be called vital actions. These are the vital actions. Trim, I want that trim set to take off. I want that trim, which is the rudder trim, set to take off. I do want 10 degrees of flap. I look out the window and make sure it is showing 10 degrees of flap. I do want to be fully rich, I do want to be fully fine, and I want this lever on so it can't move accidentally by bashing a knee or something like that. I want the engine heat knob in. I want to know that I'm on both mags. I want to know that I'm on both. I want to know that I've got fuel, and I want to switch the boost pump on, because there's already a fuel pump connected to the engine mechanically, but now I've got the electric one as well. Not going to run out of fuel at this stage. Alternator is on because the light's out, and we know that that's working. I checked it earlier. T's and P's are all green. Lights, we'll have the taxi light off, the landing light on. We'll put this so that it's actually working and sending £7,000 back, 7,000 to other people. We don't need the pitot head, it's not cold enough. We'll have another check of this. 3 a little bit towards the north, 3 a little bit towards the north. Controls full and free, just in case somebody had crawled into the works elsewhere. The rest rest of it is all I know. So, one of them is these. These have got to be bloody tight, almost painfully tight. If we're going to need them, we're going to need them in 5 minutes' time, okay?
Yeah.
Canopy's closed. This is all good. Are you feeling comfortable?
Yeah.
That's fine there. And you know where to put it if you needed to, okay? But you can use that. There's no trouble about using that. I have to give you a takeoff brief, and it's mostly for myself. During the takeoff run, if there's a problem with the engine, I will notice it there or I'll hear it or something like that. I will close the throttle. And I'll leave it on and I'll put it back on the runway even if we've taken off. Even if it means going through the hedge at the end. I'd much rather go through the hedge at the end with about half a ton of metal in the front of us than actually be flying.
Yeah.
Because we can knock down quite large trees with this and we're sitting directly behind it. If it's too late to put it on the runway, I'll choose a field within an arc of about that much and I'll put it on the field. Even if it's got long grass, even if it's just been ploughed, and we will probably turn upside down. And there will be a severe deceleration, but you've got your belt on tight, but protect your face. If you've got the capacity, I'll ask you to get rid of the canopy during that incident, okay? But otherwise, I'll do it, because I want to make sure it's gone, because we don't want to be stuck upside down. And if we do wind up on the field and I'm incapacitated, you save yourself. You just get out of the way, get the fuck out. If you've then got time, come back for me, and I'll be doing the same thing. I'm not going to be saying, oh, I must save my passenger. I'll sort myself out, and if I can then spare it, I'll come back and sort you out, okay? Are you comfortable? Have I frightened the life out of you yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. Are you comfortable enough to go flying with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, Golf Romeo, lining up 08, ready for departure.
Everything is northerly at 10 knots.
Right. So we'll taxi at a reasonable speed. This is all clear. There is nobody landing. We haven't heard anybody on the radio, but they haven't snuck in. There's nobody landing. Runway's down there. We've actually got a very slight, well, we've got crosswind and slightly tailwind, but that's okay. We should be off. There's a 400-metre bar, and you'll see it. We should be off the ground by 400 metres. And your missus will be wondering where the bloody hell we are. You ready to go? I go for full power. I see that I've got full revs. I see I've got a happy engine. The speedo's just started. The nose wheel's off the ground. And she flies. And we'll adjust our squelches. I keep my hands on the throttles in case it moves. There's the crosswind. Can you feel us crabbing?
Yeah.
It'll get choppy for a minute and then it'll go calm. Right, we're clear of the airfield. We'd now be putting it on some grass. Climbing at 80 knots. I'm making an awful amount of noise. So I'll make a bit less noise by applying less power. And with this circuit, all the turns we make around this circuit are to the right when we've taken off from that runway. So we'll come round to the right. There's Shaftesbury, which is where you live.
No.
No?
Warminster.
Warminster. Okie dokie. Well, we'll go up that sort of way. That's it. Thank you for playing with that.
Right.
The airfield is now behind us over that shoulder.
Yeah.
We're still climbing. We've got a positive rate of climb. We will get rid of the flaps. And I'll make sure I'm straight and level, and I'll close the flaps, and I'll be making sure that they're closed. Good, they've gone. We'll carry on this turn. The other thing I'm going to do, because we got away from the ground, is switch that off, because that was just hosing fuel out, so that's going to save a bit of fuel. Another check on the engine. That. We climb out at 80. And before we go and do any aerobatics, I want to be at 5,000 feet. And where we'll do it is we'll do it up there. There's a nice bit of the A303 and a lake and that sort of stuff, which really helps. So I'm going to turn on the sort of heading I want. And then we've got a nice long time in the air, so I'm going to do this a lot more slowly than normally. What I would do is I'd thrash it a bit and I'd climb quite fast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a lower rate of climb and make a lot less noise. effectively I'm setting it up for cruise rather than climb, but we can still get a cruise climb out of it. So we've still got a gentle rate of climb. We're making a lot less noise. We're doing about 90 knots. And you may have noticed, but I'm often not hanging onto the stick. Because I don't need to. It's properly trimmed out. So you can take the stick now. I want to put it away for the minute, just for a minute. You can take it later on, but concentrate on this bit, because this is the good bit. This is the bit where I let you drive. Right. You've got the stick. We do it, only hold it with one hand. Put the other hand gently on there, and I'll tell you what to do with that in a minute. And we have turned slightly. We're still climbing good. So in the same way as when we were flying on when we were driving on the ground, I said do something not rough but big movements, so you get a feel for the gentle movements. So move the stick quite a lot left and right, just to get a feel for rocking it. And what we're doing is we're not looking at the instruments, we're looking out of the window. We've got a lovely horizon, so we can see it rolling. We can see that wing's down and that wing's right up there. So you can get the wings level now quite easily by looking out the window and wiggling the stick a bit. We're still climbing. Now, what we'll do actually, if you can come round and aim for, well, I'll tell you what, I can see a bit of a, I'm going to do it because I'm gradually acclimatising our tummy. There's a town under our nose there, over there, that we're sort of heading towards, and a bit of rain and that sort of stuff. You have the controls again, because the next thing is the forwards and backwards on the stick. When we've got this much horizon, I mean, from my eyes, I reckon the bonnet is just about touching the horizon, yeah? And we're going up, okay? Now, if you push the stick forwards so that there's about 2 fingers, you'll find that you've got to keep the push going to keep there.
Yeah.
She'll get faster, and the climb will stop. Now push the stick forward so we've got about 4 fingers, so you're going to have to push quite hard. She'll get a lot faster, and we'll start going down. So again, the picture for a climb is with about 1 finger. And now do the forwards and backwards a little bit, just to get a feel. A bit rougher, it helps your tummy and all of that sort of stuff, right? It's all a question of getting used to stuff. Okay, so that's the forwards and backwards. Cows get bigger, cows get smaller. And we've done the wings. And now, I'll do it first just to show you the effect. I'm going to, you've got your feet resting on the pedals. I'm going to tread on the pedals left and right, and you'll feel the back end chucking out, okay? Back end goes out, or back end goes out. But notice what else happened.
Front goes.
It dropped, the nose dropped. That's because she was no longer flying in balance. When I'm doing that over there, she's making less lift. So the nose dropped. That's called the secondary controls. I'm going to take control and show you something else. So we're doing a certain speed towards what is Warminster over there. And if I put in a bank, the nose drops.
Yeah.
Because the lift is now pulling in towards the centre. So I have to pull back a little bit when I'm turning, otherwise we dive. And I'll do the same thing over that way. We've got a bank. The nose is actually, because it's a training aircraft, she wants to stop banking. But when you bank, the nose drops. That's the secondary effect of controls. And the other secondary effect is that when we pull up to climb, she gets slower.
Yeah.
And actually, she will sort herself out because she's a training aircraft. Okay, are you all right?
Yeah.
You've got air there.
That's right.
I'm going to make even less. No, we're making not too much noise. Can you see there's a little hill with, see there's some rain, and underneath it there's a hill with a bit of a pimple?
Yeah.
Point us back towards that. You've got control, just turn us round that way. And there's a road down there, which I think is the road you drove down.
Yeah.
This is a bit dark, but that's the A350. So now if you go reasonably hard round, so we go past that shower there, keep turning and keep turning, and when of course you turn, the nose drops, so you have to pull back slightly. Pull back slightly, and also don't keep the turn going in. When it's turned enough, let it come back to the middle. as I say, I think this is Warminster coming up here. So we'll go and have a look at Warminster whilst we're still building a little climb. We're not limited around here about height. So straighten up a little bit and we'll fly towards Warminster. I'm doing that with my knee.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. And I'm going to try and work out which one is Warminster. Sorry, Warminster's the one down there.
You should see Clay Hill.
Well, you're the local. So you can fly us towards Warminster. And the thing about Warminster is that you're very close and you can probably hear guns sometimes, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an actual danger area that we're not allowed into.
Broadsword for 1, final, get out.
So we're not allowed to go the other side of Warminster because the danger area is up on the hills, alright?
Salisbury Plain, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, we're flying along, we ought to check things. It's happy, it's happy, it's happy. That's good, the fuel's good. We're heading due north and that's all good. So whereabouts in Warminster is it you live?
The top end, this end.
This end. And so what local landmarks are you going to use to find it? The rail, there is a railway, isn't there? But that's a bit far away from you.
Clay Hill should be somewhere.
What is Clay Hill?
The uniform
Massive hill. Huge.
A noticeable hill?
Yeah.
What, with houses on it?
No.
But the hill's this side as well, is it?
Yeah.
So, being as I'm good at this, and I've done it before, I know that that dome that's tucked in there is the Centre Parks. If you point towards Centre Parks at the moment, but take us around the Centre Parks, because it means then that you've got Warminster on that side,
Yeah.
so that when we stick ourselves into a turn over Warminster, you'll be able to see better than me. It's on your side, basically.
Right.
So we're going to aim over, we'll fly over towards, round a bit more, and if you lose track of it, just push the nose forward so you can see where it is. Tip the nose so you can see where it is, and then we're good. That's it. That's what I want to feel you moving around a little bit more, so that I'm happy that you're going to be okay when it gets a bit rough. We don't have to do aerobatics if we don't want to.
2-1.
Hey?
2-1, see what it's like.
Okay, and I'll leave it towards the end, so that if it's not good, we'll get on the ground. Okay, because I'm well tuned in. Not as tuned in as more experienced instructors, because nothing makes an instructor be a better instructor than having to clear up somebody else's sick. So I can see industrial areas in Warminster, I can see some white roofs.
This end, that's my house down there.
So you can see a house. Bad.
That's Clay Hill.
Okay. Have you noticed how hills that are hills when you're trying to cycle up them
Yes.
don't really show up when you're up here? We live our lives in a very narrow thing of height. You know, if you get up a 6-foot step ladder,
Yeah.
you think, oh, I'm a bit high. We're 4,000 feet up now. And you don't feel like, it doesn't feel like heights, does it?
No.
I have to explain this to people when they say, oh, I bought this for my husband, but he doesn't like heights. And I have to say, of course he doesn't like heights, nobody likes heights, we're monkeys. We were brought up in trees, falling out of a tree meant death or being eaten by somebody. But the moment you go beyond a certain height, and it's about 150 feet, you don't recognise that you're high anymore because it's just too out of this world, it's just too much of an alien experience. So you can see the road going round, and Longleat over there. We're directly overhead Centre Parks. Where else do you want to go and see? Do you actually want to turn over your house? Is there anybody at home that knows what's going on?
No.
As to be said, 4,000 feet, we're quite a bit of a dot. I wasn't aware, what is it? Is it a kart track or what is it on Longleat?
Safari.
What is it?
Safari.
Oh, that's where the lions live. Oh, right. I looked at it and I thought it was some interesting kart track. It hadn't occurred to me that that's the bit you drive around. So you know these towns, I don't know these towns, I'm not a local. Is that Frome and Wing something?
I think that's...
According to my book of words, that's Frome, or Froome, which is how we pronounce it, isn't it? So that's Froome, and the one over there is Westbury. No, Westbury's just beyond Warminster.
Westbury there.
That's Westbury.
That's Trowbridge.
Oh, I don't think it might be. We are at 4,000 feet, you're right. When you learn to fly, you go solo after about 10-15 hours.
Yeah.
That's a glider, we don't want to go near him. Let's go back over, there might be others about. Go back that way, please. Well spotted. You may be out of the park. There's a gliding field called the park. Not aware of a gliding field over there. He's looking around for lift. You get lift underneath clouds. Clouds are formed by air going up, and so they go off and they get under a cloud and it sucks them up into the air. For my purposes, I think I'm a bit too close to Salisbury Plain, so can you come around a bit more and we'll head back towards Compton. That's if you've had enough of looking at your locale.
Yeah. Not much to look at.
So that's back in Warminster again, isn't it? And so there's the dome. And are you aware of a little farm strip down there called Wing Farm? Do you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a mate who lives there. I've been into it. It is a little bit short, and it's too short for today. Because basically we can go anywhere we like. There's no controlled airspace. Well, I suppose you could call that controlled airspace. Controlled by people with guns.
Yeah.
But we've got Bournemouth right down there, and so we're not worrying about crashing into there. Out that way, there's almost no controlled airspace. We can go anywhere we like, and if we've got permission, we can land on anybody's field. We don't have to put in flight plans. We don't have to speak to anybody on the radio. Got no radar. I was going to do a bit more while we're flying away from this. I don't know whether you're pushing or pulling on the stick. Which are you doing?
Very gently pushing.
And you're using this to keep an eye on whether we're going up or down. I've noticed your eyes going in there. Good. So if I do that, you've got to pull it back a bit now, haven't you? Otherwise we're going to go down. And you've got to keep that pull in there. So keep the pull in. This does this. So when you get back to the bonnet and you know you're no longer going down, you're having to pull all the time, aren't you? So that's why I say you put your hand on that wheel and now move that wheel in one direction or another until the pressure goes from having to pull and fly straight and level. Just move it, just hold on to it and push it forwards or backwards, the wheel. And you can feel either you're having to pull harder or push harder. That's the trim. Basically, that tells the aeroplane what speed to fly at. And if it can only go that fast by going downhill, it'll go downhill. Or if it can only go that fast by going uphill, it'll go uphill. And so what you're doing is you're taking out the forwards, the push-pull pressure on the stick to get it straight and level. And it's about the third hour's worth of training to get it trimmed out properly. Because you should be able to get it trimmed out so that really you could let go of it. Or at least just steer it with your knees for the left and right. Without going up and without going down. Because you see, I'm going to take control a bit. We're neither going up nor down, okay? I'm going to pull the power back a long way. And we're still neither going up nor down. I'm pulling now to try and keep us from going up or down. The speed has just dropped away. And I'm having to pull. Basically, I have told the aeroplane, you told the aeroplane, fly at 100. And I'm now not giving us enough power to fly at 100. So if I let go, she's going to point down. There's only one way I can do 100, and that's by dropping my nose. And then what will actually happen is she'll go past that,
Come back out.
and then she'll feel happier, and it's called a fugite, and gradually settle down. So I'm going to put the power back up again. And so what you do when you're setting up for a long distance cruise is you set the power settings that you want, which are optimized for burning not too much fuel. then you get it trimmed, and then you can let go of it. Then you can do all your bloody paperwork. Look on the map, you have control again. So you know about trimming, you know about changing the power and doing that sort of stuff. And we're in completely free and open airspace now. And what can we see that's a local point to look at? I'm looking for something I can point you at. Okay, yeah, just behind the tip of the wing, over that side, there's a little pimple of a hill. Take me to fly towards that hill without changing height. And that's rather a steep turn. What you're doing is you're keeping the pull. You can let go of the pull when it's happened.
Oh, as soon as
yeah.
let go.
You put the turn in and then you leave it in the turn, and you just gently have to hold it in. The pimple is actually less visible than it was because of this rain shower. I'm going to take control. I'm going to show you something else. See this ball here? See, I can make the ball be out there, or I can make the ball be out there. What it is there's a little hole in each side of the aeroplane, on a flat side of it, connected by a pipe, and in the middle of the pipe is that. So if I'm flying along presenting this side of the aeroplane to the wind, so we're not in balance at the moment, we're still flying in that direction, then it's saying you are out of balance, you are out of balance, you are out of balance, and I have to do the rudder to get us back into balance. And it's the same, if I then turn that side of it to us, without doing anything else, it's saying you are out of balance. So that's the other thing I keep an eye on. I keep an eye on the fact that if it's nice and in the middle, it means she's slipping through the air maximum efficiency.
Right.
And it's the rudder which is changing that. The other thing is when I put in a turn, now then we're going through the air, there are four forces at work. There's the engine pulling us forwards,
yeah,
and there's the drag pulling us backwards, of the shape that we are and how much we're messing up the air. We're not going up and we're not going down, and it's not the wheels that's stopping us, it's the wings. So we're making a certain amount of lift, and that lift exactly equals our weight, so we're not going, well, we're going up slightly. So we're in balance, all these four forces are in balance. And it's the wings which are making most of the drag, because they're the ones that are keeping us up. So they're disturbing the air so much that they're slowing us down and making lots of drag. If I want a wing to make more lift, I want to go over that way, so I want that aileron to go down and that wing to make more lift, I will make more drag out there.
Yeah.
And because I'm making more drag on that wing than that wing, it'll actually pull us over that way, which means we'll be out of balance. So I'm going to try and turn that way. I'm going to do it fairly roughly, and you will see that it'll go out of balance that way.
Oh, I see.
Because that wing pulled backwards.
Yeah.
That's the other control. So basically, when you do a turn, when you're a bit more advanced, especially when you do a turn in a glider, when you put it, you've got your feet fast on the rudder, when you do a turn, especially a reasonably hard turn hard and you put in a bit of rudder, and then you take the turn out and you take the rudder out and it goes around smoothly, and then when you want to correct the turn, you put in a bit of aileron and you put a bit of rudder, and I didn't put enough in. It's about balance turns, and I'm not an instructor, which is why I haven't taught that very well. But that's the coordination. You're turning and you're pedalling on it, and you're also playing with the stick forwards and backwards. We've got this. We're getting closer to do some aerobatics because we're getting closer to going home. Okay?
Right.
You happy?
Yeah.
How does your tummy actually feel?
Right at the moment.
Okay. The worst thing about aerobatics is negative G. So there won't be much negative G. I'm going to come around that way. There won't be any real negative G, but the worst thing is that feeling you get when you go over a humpback bridge. That's the one which makes people feel unwell. Chewing helps. Because we've been swanning around, I've lost my favourite place to do aeros. There's the railway. Getting quite close to Boscombe Downs airspace. Come round to north. Find the 303. Ah, there's me lake. There's the 303, there's my forest. Hurrah! Because I've got used to doing aerobatics around here, I'm going to go up, going to start giving us full power everything, okay? So I'll have it fully rich and nothing will change. I'll have many more prop turns, so it'll get a bit noisier. I'll have the boost pump on. I'll have much more power. Basically we go balls to the wall for aeros. That's putting us in a stonking great climb. See this lake?
Yeah.
See the shape of it? See the 303 going past on my side, and then where does it go? It goes along there. There's the 303. And beyond it you see this forest. A fairly long and thin forest.
Yeah.
And follow the 303 up, and up in a minute there is a Y junction on the 303. You're doing exactly the right thing. I think you're going the wrong way. Yeah, you were going the wrong way. Now that we've got more power, it just means you've got to make sure that when you want to hear yourself, you've got to shout.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We've got a shower which is briefly in our way. Trying to get a bit more height on. See, with this much power, we can have a massive rate of climb without slowing down too.
Hello. There.
So normally I do this with the A303 on my side, but that cloud's getting in our way.
Right.
I'll do it down here a bit. It won't be there long, that cloud. So, I want 4,000 feet, 5,000 feet before I'm going to chuck it around. And this is saying you're climbing at 1,000 feet per minute, so it should take us less than a minute to get 5,000. I've asked a lot of my engine. It hasn't got too hot, or high pressure, or all of those are green, basically. I've got a happy engine.
5427, can I have a radio check, please?
Roger, 5427, how do you read?
Say again?
5427, how do you read?
5, how do you read?
Readability 5.
Great, thank you.
And Golf Romeo Romeo's readability 5 also. We're at Tisbury doing aeros, 5,000 feet. If we can find enough of a gap between the clouds. Not allowed in clouds. You become disoriented, don't know which way is up, and you die. No, I don't go in.
So readability 3 now, can you say again?
November Charlie 5427, we'll be staying in the pattern for...
So I'm going to introduce you to a little bit of G, and also achieve what I call a clearing turn, because I want to turn away before I crash into the cloud. So I'm going to go left, hard, quite fast, okay? I'll go over like that, I pull.
Westerly less than 5.
Westerly less than 5, Alpha.
What lake's that?
Golf South Juliet, that side.
I don't know which one it's called, it's a stately home. So we pulled a little bit of G then, we got up to 2.
Yeah.
And that was positive G, and you felt okay with that? Good.
Seemed alright.
Okay. And note where the bonnet is. We're in a climb at the moment. The bonnet's about there, okay? If we don't put ourselves into a climb, the bonnet is still where it should be, and we'll start going really fast. Don't worry about this, it's pain. But I've got 5,000 feet now, so I'm happy. Boost pump is still on, still got a happy engine. Won't do anything without telling you. The first thing we're going to do, which is the easiest one, which is an aileron roll, it's the less extreme one in terms of G. It's a 2-stage process, okay? is why I'm telling you about bonnet, okay? Pulled about 2G when I did that turn, but pull about 2G briefly when I get ready for an aileron roll. Because what you do, is I'm flying along straight and level, up to about 120, I pitch up a bit, but then I stop the pitching up and then I go round. I go all the way round, okay? Because as I'm going round, the nose will drop, and that's why I pitch up in the first place. And so the point I pitch up to is, imagine we've got a glass floor. See where your feet are. Remember where the horizon is. I pitch up to a point where my feet would be on the horizon. So it does feel quite steep because I'm going to point down towards the pool. So it does feel like we're going up quite a steep hill.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pitch into it fairly roughly, not roughly, so we'll see the 2G. And then I'm going to stop it. And when I do the full roll, I'm going to then roll it. If I didn't stop it, then when we were rolling, we would still be turning, and it would turn it into a barrel roll. So, but I'm going to do it in 2 stages, and so I'm going to show you stage 1. There'll be a gentle lightening of the stump. It's going to be a bit like a humpback bridge, because I'm going to dive, so quite a lot of bonnet. So I'm definitely doing 120, and I'm going to pull quite hard, and my feet are on the horizon now, and then I'm going to stop it. I'm going to coast over the top gently. Okay, so went very slightly below 1G then. Next time I do that, having put my feet on the horizon, I'm then going to turn it, okay? You've got your feet, you're not pressing anything.
No.
When I do it, I push it all the way across, and if your leg feels like it's getting in the way, get it out of the way, okay? So I'm going to dive for 120. Speed will build up. I'm going to feet on the horizon, stop it, then I'm going to go all the way over. And we don't really feel very light or bothered about it, but we're coming out pointing down, so I need to pull a bit more, okay?
Yeah.
Does that feel alright? Good. There's a trick to G, which is clenching your tummy.
Right.
You know when the G happens on an aileron roll now, it happens at the beginning and after the end because the nose pulls down. So I'll do another one. Practice clenching your tummy, and we'll do a loop and then we'll go home.
Right.
The loop involves more G, and I'm just introducing to the G pulling. I'm going to turn around, look for that lake again, so I know I'm not in anybody's airspace. I've got it, it's in the shade over there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a roll the same direction, in the same way, and we know where the horizon is, so I'll roll out. I'll dive for 120. On the horizon, over we go. And this time I'm pushing a bit over and we lose a little less height. And then I pull out. Happy with that? I'm going to go left this time. On the horizon, stop it, over we go. And out we come. Happy? Happy?
Very.
Good, good, good. There's the 303 over there. 5,000 feet. Where's the lake? There's the lake. I'm going to do a loop now. With a loop, I dive for 135 or so it's a bit steeper down, and we need to go fast. I pull quite hard at the beginning, and you'll see it go round to the 4. A lot less. You'll go quite light as we go over the top. A lot more at the bottom again. So the time to clench when you see that I'm pulling back on the stick, okay? You will also probably hear the stall warner going. There's not a worry, it's getting close, okay? So, it's a loop. Basically, good. Back. Okay, so it's a loop. We dive for speed, we pull some G, we go all the way round. So there's no sideways left or right. So I dive for speed. There's the 303. Round comes 140. Clench. Pull. Over we go. There's the world going light. And get ready to pull. We get all the height back because we were going so fast at the bottom, and then we go slightly light as we come over the top. How was that? Quite extreme, isn't it?
Just a tad.
Alright, well, we'll stop it if you like. I'm quite pleased with myself being able to assess you all right. But that is the most extreme thing, seeing the ground from upside down.
Right.
And we pulled over 4G. You alright?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do anything else? It's up to you. This is...
Just cruise.
Okay, so we'll go back to cruise. I'll let you press some of the knobs. Let's, we've got 6,000 feet to play with. So, switch my boost pump off because we're no longer needing that one. I'm just showing you some other knobs. Leave the stick for the minute. I'll do the stick. Switch the boost pump off. That's that middle one down, and the light will go out. That one there. That's it. We don't need the boost pump anymore. We haven't actually got a huge amount of power, but pull this one back so it says 20. Which is the throttle. And as it comes back, it starts using less and less fuel. Back to 20, that's it. It's a bit difficult for you because I'm sitting in front of it. And now gently pull the blue one back so it says about 22. That's it. And we're using even less fuel. And then pull the red one back. So we've got 20, 22, and gently pull the red one back until it goes just under the 2. And as you pull that back, later on the cylinder head temperature goes up. Back it comes. And this bit, that one, freaks out most people because they're used to using that to stop the engine. And you do have to pull it back quite a long way before it makes a difference.
Right.
Let's just check where the bloody hell we are. That's all good. Alright, you've got the control of the stick now. Okay, so because we're making much less power, I'd like you to come and fly along that lake. I want to see that lake come past me on my side, going in that direction. I've got a heading bug here. And I've just pressed the wrong thing, so I'll sort that out in a minute. When we're lined up with the lake heading that way, get me straight and level. And what you should find is that to neither climb nor descend, which is what you're being good at the moment, you're having to pull. But I don't mind if we descend, okay, because we've got a lot of height to lose. We're basically on our way home.
Yeah.
But we'll let you find us. So I need to fix this. It's making that much noise because there's a lot of pressure in here. So we want this descent. We're doing 120 miles an hour. Before, when you were setting it up, it was set for 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So we're in a nice plummeting descent, which is good. We've got a lot of height to lose. And because we're in shade, I'll give you a confirmation on the map. There's Compton. We're now sort of pointing at Compton, okay?
Oh, I see, yeah.
So that points us at Compton. So if you wiggle left and right, you'll see how it's what we call a heading bug. We can adjust it, and I've set it for what I think is the direction to Compton. So if you go around that way, it's saying, Compton's over there, mate. Go around that way, it'll be happier, and we'll be pointing pretty much at Compton. That's it. I had my daughters doing this when they were 6 and 7. I'd set them an altitude, I'd set them a direction, and I'd just look out the window. And the reason why we're having to have these around so much, even though we're on low power, is because we're still going quite fast. The air is rushing into here. The pressure in this cockpit is higher than the outside world, and so the microphones are working. What will happen is, when I'm happy that we've lost enough of the height, I'll suggest that we stop descending. When we stop descending, she'll slow right down. Then you can play with the trim. Because we're not using much power at the moment. This is bumpy because clouds make air bumpy. Compton Radio, Golf Romeo is rejoining from the north.
Romeo Compton at 26 right, QFE 984.
984, 26 right, Golf Romeo. So the pressure, 984. We're now 4,000 feet above Compton's runway. And we're landing on 26 right, so we're taking off, we're landing on the same runway, which is called 26, which is sort of westerly. So the runway we're going to land on runs that way, from left to right in front of us, when we see it. Spotting Compton is very hard. You may have already spotted. Yeah, you did have a clue. You're bloody good at this, you know. This is good. I mean, she will watch this video, but my girlfriend wasn't quite as good. Sorry, Jim.
November Charlie 5427, right say 56.
So, the runway runs that way, and she said 26 right. And all the turns in the circuit are turning right. If you remember, after we took off, we turned right. Then we turned right again, and then I bugged out when we were out of... came up north. So if all the turns are on the right... Not sure I can see the airfield. I thought I could. Basically, there's not enough bloody aeroplanes to confirm it. We are much closer than I thought. Yeah, we're almost above it, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we want to lose even more height. So that's it. So we are higher than them, but we're flying in the same direction as them. Basically, somebody getting ready to land could be
November Charlie 5427 on court final.
could be about 3,000 feet below us getting ready to land. So we need to lose some height. So we do that over what we call the dead side. And we will keep the turn going to the right. So I want a real plummet going on here, please. I want this down to about that. That's it. Loads of bonnet. So we're going to fly past the runway. And when we've got past it, we're going to do a long sweeping turn so that when we come back, fly over the numbers at the other end of the runway. So don't start the turn yet. Go around that way a bit. There's Blandford Forum down there. And Madonna's house.
Where?
Pretty much over it. She's in a valley. That's not it. I think we're directly over her house. Or Guy's house.
Yeah.
No, it's off the runway. When we take off in the other direction of the runway, it's down there. It's in there, in the little cleft. You can't see it.
Oh.
Keep the descent going. And stick the turn in now. Just see the runway? There's the runway. Something's just taken off from it. A yellow aeroplane's just taken off. Can you see?
Yeah.
So we're aiming to be over those. Turns a bit steep. Keep the descent going. We're aiming to be over those numbers by at only 1,000 feet. So we've got a lot of height to lose. A nice, healthy plummet. You've got 2,500 feet. Still got 1,000 feet to lose. We are belting along now. It's at that point I need to take it, okay?
Yeah.
I've got it. It's too difficult for me to patter it. I'm not an instructor. Still 1,000 feet too high for the circuit. So I'm going to still keep a stonking.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
Where's the yellow one?
There, right in front of you.
Okay, I have it. Now then, he may be in the circuit, he may be taking off. He may be... He's too far away from the circuit for me. Golf Romeo, Romeo, just past the overhead numbers. Can you tell me if the steerman believes the steerman is in the circuit?
Traveller and just about to turn downwind.
Roger, we'll be following, we're number 2 to the Traveller. I would have turned right by now.
Yeah.
But he's flying quite a big circuit. So we've got about 1,000 feet, still going very fast, a bit of a gap behind us, okay? So he's now...
November Charlie 5427, turning downwind, 26, touching go.
He's just called downwind. I'm about to be downwind. So I'm now playing games with the trim. We're wanting to fly slow. The airfield. And the... there's the airfield. And there's the steerman, not the steerman, the Traveller ahead of us. We now want fully rich, fully fine, and the boost pump. These are my pre-landing checks, okay? Pre-landing checks, where's my volume? There it is. There's the airfield all the way over there. You see, if the engine stopped now, I wouldn't get there. Yeah. I like to be closer in, but it's alright if he needs a bit more time. But I can do some more checks. There's a standard thing to remember in downwind checks, which is brakes are off, mixture mixture's fully rich, propeller's fully fine, boost pump is on, fuel is sufficient on and sufficient for a go round on both.
Charlie 5427, right station, 210, touch and go.
We'll give him some more space.
He landed, is he?
He's doing a touch and go, but he is intending to use that runway, yes. I'm coming out a bit further because I don't want to be too far behind him. He is doing a full stop. He's doing what we call a touch and go, which is just touches the wheels and takes off again.
Oh, I see.
But just in case he does wind up stopping, I don't want to crash into the back of him, so I'll give him some space. And we'll have 10 degrees of flap.
And turning finals, November Charlie 5427.
Yeah, November Charlie, he's an American aeroplane. He's turning final. We might just about get to the runway, because I've kept the heat up, the height, sorry. We might just about get to the runway from here if it was to stop. But we make sure there's nobody else out there. What a lovely day.
Yes. So he's going to touch down and go back off again then?
Yeah. The moment he's happy that it was a good landing, he will whack the... It's what you do when you're training, you just get used to... Because there's so much to do. You know, the takeoff and the landing are the busy bits. Golf Romeo Romeo, final, contact 1 ahead.
Northwest 10 knots.
It's snowing. Right, we're very high. We're going at the right sort of speed, but we are very high. So you remember that trick I told you about getting out of balance? It's called side slipping, and I'm going to get massively out of balance now. Because what that does is it throws away height without getting us too fast. And now I'm going to do it the other way. We've got a huge rate of descent. I might wind up going around off this. I've left it too high. Romeo Romeo will be going around. I was too high.
Yeah.
Boost pump is still good, that's good. I haven't got full power because I'm trying to be nice to the neighbours. I've still got... I didn't apply full flap, which would have helped actually. I was too busy about the height. Romeo Romeo, I'd like to cut inside the travel air. Is that okay, travel air, Golf Romeo Romeo?
That's good with me.
Roger, Golf Romeo Romeo, downwind 26 right. It's the picture I'm used to, you see. I'm used to being in this close all times. Right, boost pump's still good, brakes, undercarriage, mixture, propeller, fully fine. Fuel, good. Runway's there. I'll have 10 degrees of flap. And you feel the wind blowing us. This is the height which monkeys get worried about. This is when you actually start realising I'm up in the air. So we should be going down the descent at 80 knots, crossing the threshold at 70 knots, and then landing it at about 60. And you can see I've been using the trim wheel like nobody's business. Get her to fly at 80. I'm a little slow, so we need to keep them balanced.
November Charlie 5427, downwind 26 with traffic inside.
Romeo Romeo, final 26. Right, now I'm a little low, but that's okay. Don't have to worry about that. We'll put full flaps on. And she points down a lot with full flap.
Yeah.
It is going to be slightly choppy. fairly smooth, I thought.
Yes, very good.
There's the stall warner. Really hear that?
Yeah.
Flaps go, boost pump goes, mixture to idle. Romeo Romeo will taxi for the pumps. Is she waving to you? It's bloody cold out there.
Stand up on the Charlie 5427 on final 27, full stop.
Right, we did a bit of taxiing when we went out. But the other thing we learn very quickly is when you're crossing from grass to concrete or vice versa, you do it at 45 degrees and you do it really slowly. Basically, if the propeller winds up bashing the ground, it's £20,000. Which the insurance will pay, but we got something like a 250 quid excess, so
Yeah.
I really don't want to. And of course, it means it's grounded for fucking years while they sort out the propeller. Bring it into there. Nose wheel straight. I won't put the we're at a squall, so I might put the parking brake on. And then we do the thing which freaks students out, which is we do that all the way, and that stops the engine. And we turn that off and that off and that off and that off.